Hello everyone. The next topic that we'll be discussing is how to write a project report. So as you all are aware that you will be performing an investigation under a project investigation or a dissertation. You'll be carrying out a dissertation work. So at the end, after your investigation is finished, you need to write a project report, and that will be submitted to the college as a partial fulfillment of your degree of MSc. So this is the part of certificate course in research methodology. The title is writing a project report. Particularly, this lecture is designed for MSc students. Myself, Dr. Milind Gajviye, I'll be explaining you the different parts of how to write a project report. Now, to begin with, this part we have already discussed, or some other teachers might have talked on this. So, just to link this topic to the earlier one, I need to revise few things. The first thing I need to recall is preparation of a project proposal. We have discussed too many things about how to select a research topic, basically reading of current research published in different publications or the literature work. We use that information to decide a project problem. We identify that particular problem, that is the broad area, and based on that readings or the literature description, we define that particular problem. So a problem, it can be a broad problem, environmental problem, or related to your subject area, and then we refine or we define that particular problem. That means we choose a specific area of that particular research problem. Then we think about the identification of the possible solutions, and these are the possible solutions on which you want to work. Then we define a solution. That means we target some objectives, and these objectives are the few points on which you are going to work or you are going to carry out your investigation. So objectives will define in what way you are carrying out your research work or dissertation work. Then you design a strategy to resolve that particular problem. If it is, if at all not resolving that problem, we minimize, we try to minimize, we suggest few solutions to minimize that particular problem, and for that we carry out experimental work. Then, as we have discussed earlier, your research topic, it may belong to discovery kind of thing, or it may be a new invention. So we have already discussed about the difference between discovery and invention. Discovery is something which is already existing in nature and you are disclosing it. Invention is something related to construction of new things. We call it as invention. Your research topic must satisfy several criteria for the in order to increase the value of your research. And how can you increase the value of your research? It can be through choosing a topic in which you have chances of exploration, or you have chances of innovation, or you have a chances of novelty or newness. So for example, you may come up with new types of microorganisms, new habitats of plants, new plant varieties, new chemical combinations for chemistry people, new programs, methods, approaches, and idea. Your research topic should be such that it must have a potential of data generation. We measure the potential of data generation in terms of tables and figures. So approximately 15 to 20 tables and figures in all are sufficient for a particular project work. Your research area, it can be from applied sciences or basic sciences. We have already discussed this. And the most important thing that increases the value of your research or dissertation is possibility of publication. We have discussed this earlier, that if your publication, if your data potential is too good, you can go for the publication of your data in recognized journals, and that will add to the value of your MSc degree. After deciding the objectives, next step is to go for experimentation. That means the first part is to write the project proposals, defining the problem, and after that we go for experimental work. So whatever is described, whatever is proposed in your research proposal or dissertation proposal, we carry out experimental work, we carry out investigation on that particular objectives. So we work on the methodology as per the defined objectives. Working or carrying out investigations will lead to an output of generation of data. That data, it can be in the form of numerical form or non-numerical form. We already discussed what is the meaning of numerical and non-numerical research. So in the forms of photographs, you may generate the data in the forms of tables, figures, photographs, etc., etc. After that, the next step is the compilation of data, and then we arrange that data according to the guidelines. So in order of introductions, materials and methods, results and references. So preparation of tables, preparation of figures, it will help you to understand the depth of your work, whether you have carried out sufficient work or not. So this idea you will get from the number of tables and the kind of figures which are generated. So as I have mentioned already, 15 figures, tables and images. If this much is the output of the project, you may be you can say that you are at the end of the uh, completion of your project work. And this is how we go for the preparation of first draft according to the guidelines. So this part I am going to cover in this today's lecture, that how to write the final project report. Let us see what is this flow chart. With the help of flow chart, the first step is we write a project proposal, then we decide the objectives, and then we go for the investigation. Investigations will lead to several findings. These findings may be already discussed, or these findings already discussed by other researchers, or these findings may be new findings. So whatever is the output of your dissertation work, whatever the data which is generated, the next step is to compile that data, or to arrange that data in proper format according to the in the flow or in the line of objectives. Then we define the tables and figures, we prepare the graphs. If it is numerical data, then the better way of presenting your data is preparation of line graphs or bar diagrams. Then photographs, followed by that, then we need to follow the guidelines of scientific writing. So far throughout this research methodology course, we have been listening to several lectures. We have been understanding that we have already understood that writing of research proposals, writing of research papers, writing of reviews, and writing of project report, it must have a specific type of guideline. They must be written according to a specific type of guideline. So they are written in a most acceptable language. Acceptable for whom? Acceptable for the researchers. acceptable by the scientists, and therefore we call it as scientific writing. So scientific writing is of it is a very important part of your research work, because the presentation of data and writing skills you need to have for the better presentation of your work. So this is how we follow the guidelines, and then we go for the preparation of the first draft. Then that first draft, it will be checked by the respective guide, and he or she will suggest some according to the guidelines. There will be suggestions, there will be comments from the guide. Accordingly, you make the corrections, go back and make the corrections, and you come up with the second draft. So that will be called as a revised draft. There may be several revisions of this draft, and finally you come up with the final report. I'll be telling you today how to prepare this final report. This is just for the sake of our convenience that all the MSc students must prepare this project report in the same format, so that there will be homogeneity in the writing of project work report for the MSc students of Tujaram Chaturchand College. So the project report preparation, it has several guidelines. I'm going to explain you all these guidelines. There is a standard format. I will be explaining you the standard format for the writing of this project report. This standard format, it is like this. I'll tell you according to the sequence. The first page is of title page. First page is called as title page. Second page, or the second part followed by title page, is the page of contents. That means index. So whatever is described inside, you have to summarize it, and you have to write it in the form of index. Third page will be of acknowledgements. Then it will be followed by certificate. I'll tell you the format for all these components or segments. Then there will be declaration, list of tables and figures, abbreviations, short forms, full forms. Then there will be a part of page of abstract. Yeah, from here it will start with the description of your investigation. So it will be described according to the chapters. The chapter 1 will be of introduction and review of literature. Chapter 2, it will be of materials and methods. Chapter 3, results and discussion. If you find it convenient that you can write results and discussions separately, you can make separate segments in chapter 3. You can write results separately and you can write discussion separately. So the structure of chapters 1, 2 and 3, it may vary according to the objectives or work done. Then there will be a page of references, or we can also call it as bibliography. Followed by that, the last page will be of appendix. Now let me explain you one by one. So what is this title page? So title page format is like this. So as you can see, this is just a standard format. This is just an example. You can see that there is a title of the project work, that is isolation and characterization of dash 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 dash. So that is the title which is written in bold, and it is written in all gaps. A project report or dissertation submitted to Anikant Education Societies, Tujaram Chaturchand College Autonomous, affiliated to Savitribai Phule Pune University, in the partial fulfillment of degree of, now here it is written BSc. So instead of that, you need to write here MSc and the name of your subject. So MSc Microbiology, MSc Physics, MSc Chemistry, MSc Statistics, MSc Zoology, MSc Botany, MSc Electronics, etc. etc. Submitted by, then these will be the names of the students who have carried out this research work. It can be a single student, it can be two students, or maximum it can be three students, so whatever is there. And followed by that, under name of your guide, under the guidance of doctor or professor, and you have to write the name of that respective guide. The title, as we have already discussed, it should be short, non-descriptive, informative. It should give idea of research. It should be concise enough, meaningful. It should reflect the work and novelty. These examples we have already discussed during my first lecture. So these are few formats or examples of the titles, how brief a title it can be. You can see that this is a very brief title, and above the first example it is quite descriptive. We need to avoid using descriptive titles. So the title should not be too short. Now this title is too short, as you can see. It should reflect the work actually. So these are the several examples, and as we have already discussed that the length of words, it should be between 7 to 20 words. Then the next page followed by title is the page of index or contents. So you need to organize the contents in this sequence only: acknowledgement, certificate, declaration, list of tables, list of figures, abbreviations, abstract, chapter 1, 2, 3, references, and appendix. So this is how you had to follow this standard format of contents. Then there will be a page of acknowledgement. So acknowledgement is what? Acknowledgement is to a way to thank all those who have helped you in carrying out your dissertation work. So whatever kind of assistance that you received from your lab mates, your colleagues from the institution, from the laboratory, from the non-teaching staff, from the other institution, any kind of assistance if we receive, so you need to acknowledge that. So assistance, it can be provided. You receive assistance in terms of intellectual assistance. That means you might have discussed this topic with one of the teachers from the college or from other colleges, and you might have discussed about the results, your observations, and they might have given you some guidance related to that. So that assistance also you need to acknowledge. Assistance may be in the form of availability of tools. It may happen that you may not have sufficient programs or tools or equipments in our college, so you need to go to some other college, or say for example within the college also in your department you are not having that particular equipment, so you are taking or you are utilizing the facility of that equipment which is already available in other departments. So availability of tools, then sharing of equipments, then analysis, some of the analysis part, for example for chemistry, botany, and biological sciences students. So analysis, it may be difficult because instrument is not available in our college, so you can do that analysis, or you can hire that analysis from outsource. That also you can acknowledge. You get guidance directly or indirectly from other teachers. That also you need to acknowledge. And the most important, you get moral support from your friends, as well as teachers and family. That also you can acknowledge. So assistance should be acknowledged in the order of its importance. So it is not that the uh, assistance is not important, but while writing we need to write it in an order. All the assistants are welcome here, but we need to follow a standard guideline. So we need to write the names of individuals. You need to write the name of the institution, name of the firm, name of the college, etc., etc., name of the company, in order to acknowledge. Now, let me tell you a standard format, mainly from whom you should start. You should start from acknowledging your main supervisor or your research guide. So you acknowledge him for providing assistance, intellectual assistance, for providing the help. Then acknowledge second supervisor if there is any. You can acknowledge the other academic staff in your department, means the other teaching staff in your department. For technical support, you can acknowledge the non-teaching staff of your department. That means lab assistant, lab attendant, and peon. You can acknowledge assistance from other departments also if you have received any favor from them. Then if you have any collaboration, you have been assisted by certain institutions or college, that also you can acknowledge other institutions, organizations, or company. And then you are free to acknowledge your present students, your colleagues, past students, family, and friends. So this should be the order of the acknowledgement in the order of its you say importance. This is just a sample that I wanted to show you. I'll read it this for you. You may get several formats of this acknowledgement on internet. You can go through and you can search for it. We would like to express our gratitude towards our research guide. So you see, research guide is acknowledged first for his constant inspiration and critical evaluation of the work carried out in the dissertation. His valuable guidance has made us understanding the meaning of research. You can see that the first paragraph is devoted to describing the acknowledgement for guide. We also thank all our teachers who extend a warm helping hand and gave numerous ideas. So second line is for the teachers of the department. Then we would like to thank all non-teaching staff and their unending help. So this is also acknowledged in one line. And then we are also thankful to our friends and colleagues for making environment environment conducive during the work. So friends, family have been acknowledged. And then we express our gratitude, profound affection towards our parents, family, etc., etc. This is how you can write, and at the end you need to write your name. Followed by that, the next page will be of certificate. This is the format for certificate, standard format for the certificate. This is to certify that the work incorporated in the dissertation, the title of that, was carried out was carried out under my supervision. So this is the certificate which is to be signed by your research guide. So signature of the research guide, and this will also have signature of head of the department. So uh, Possibly this certificate, it has to be on the letterhead, college letterhead page. You need to take print on college letterhead page only and get it signed. Then there will be a declaration by the students. So where students declare the authenticity of the research work which has been carried out by them. So they declare that the work incorporated in this dissertation title is original and not done has been done for the partial fulfillment of degree of Bachelor of Science. So here it will be replaced with Master of Science in the subject. So you need to write the name of the subject: physics, chemistry, botany, zoology, computer science, etc. In Tujaram Sachin, I further declare that the published material obtained from other sources has been acknowledged in the report. Now this is very important. If you don't acknowledge, if you don't reference, then it will be a part, it is illegal, it will be a part of plagiarism. So we have already learned that plagiarism is the stealing of data without you are using that data, you are describing that data without the permission of original author. So this declaration is related to uh, the plagiarism, that you haven't done any kind of copy paste kind of thing, you haven't done any plagiarism. So it is to be declared by the students, and at the bottom it has to be signed by the student. Then the next part will be list of tables. So followed by that, the next part is list of tables. So what are the tables, n number of tables that you have, you need to list them. So table number 1 and its caption, this is called as caption, table caption, title of the table. Table 2, table caption. Table 3, table caption. So likewise you need to write the list of tables. Followed by that, the list of figures. You see here, you need to arrange the tables in order. You need to arrange the figures in the order. So figure 1 and the figure caption. This is called as caption, figure caption, title of the figure. So whatever figure, number of figures you have, you need to write caption for all these figures and tables. Then in your project work, while writing, you may use multiple words in short form. So you need to describe full form of all these short forms and symbols. It is called as abbreviations. So you can see here, this is listed here. This symbol is for degree Celsius. This short form CFU, it is for colony forming unit. PFU, it is for plaque forming unit. CM is for centimeter. So on and so forth. G/L is gram per liter. So whatever the units, SI units, standard international units, which you have written in your project work, you need to decode them. So all these are symbolized, and you need to write the full form of all these abbreviations on this paper. Then the next page will be of abstract. We have already discussed about how to write the abstract. It is a concise description of the findings or the investigation. It is a brief summary. So as we have learned in case of research paper, how to write the abstract, so same thing is applied here. It should be approximately about having a word limit of 150 to 300 words. It should give the major findings of the investigation under the headlines like aims, methods, results, conclusions, and significance and impact of study. So your abstract, it can be written in segmented format. So this is the segmented format, or you can write your abstract in continuous manner. This is the segmented one. Here, this example I have already shown you under my first lecture. You can see the background is written, result and conclusion. So you can follow the same guideline from any research paper. So it is not different. Writing abstract in project report and writing abstract in research paper is same. So these are the few examples which we have already learned. I have also shown you the examples of different abstracts. These are the different abstracts. The thing you need to remember is that you need to describe the aims and objectives, methodologies used, results and conclusions. It should be covered in text of the abstract. It can be a graphical abstract, it can be a best presentation of your work. You can try this graphical abstract. This part also we have already learned. This is one of the best ways of understanding by the reader, so you can try this. So this will be a mixture of titles, text, photographs and figures and final conclusion. Chapter 1 will be on introduction and the review of literature. In introduction, you will be describing the background information of on the selected problem. And in review of literature, you will be describing what literature. Literature means what books, research papers, short communications, reviews, book chapters, websites, different types of reference material, whatever the referencing material that you have utilized to introduce this particular problem in support of your problem, all that you need to write here. That is called as a review of literature. So whatever the literature you have searched for in support of that particular problem, that you need to describe in this table, in this chapter. So the background information, that means it will involve a brief introduction of the problem to be addressed, information to introduce the subject with citations of relevant literature references. We call it as in-text reference. You need to remember this. Whenever you are writing this part, first chapter, you will be utilizing different resources. You will be writing certain sentences, and that sentence is not of your own. You have received that sentence, or you have constructed that sentence by getting the knowledge from someone else's research work which is already published. So you need to acknowledge it. We call it as citation of that reference. You need to write the name of that author that has written that particular research paper. So introduction and review of literature part, it will have in text references. What is the other type of reference? It is called as end reference. End references are written under the title of references, where we list out the references. Here we write these references in short form. They are called as in-text references. And in long form, we write these references, full references, under the title of references. They are called as end references. So here you need to describe the preliminary background information about the area of the research. You need to avoid the use of long sentences. You need to explain the problem in a very simple and concise language. In introduction section or the review of literature chapter, in order to explain the problem, you can make use of figures, pictures. So it is allowed to take to paste a figure from some other source. But the thing is that from wherever you are taking that figure, you need to acknowledge or you need to cite the name of that particular author from where you have taken that particular figure. It is very important. Then at the end of this chapter in text, we write the hypothesis. So this chapter will describe introduction, review of literature, and at the end it will describe what is the hypothesis. So whatever the hypothesis that you have formulated, that hypothesis you need to write here. You need to describe your aims, and in order to achieve that aim, you need to describe what objectives that you have decided and the purpose of work. So all these things will be included in the first chapter. You can see here that this chapter, it is describing the introduction section. Now writing this project report, it is just similar to writing a research paper, original research article. So there also you have same format. You need to write introduction section in materials and methods, results and distinction, conclusion and reference. Same format we are following it for the writing of your project report. You can see here now this author has written this sentence, and in order to support this sentence, he has added or mentioned these two references, 1 and 2. This is number 1 reference and number 2 reference. Where are these number 1 and number 2 references? You will find them in the list of references, that is in the end references. Okay, so this is how this is called as citation of references in text. This is all text words, and in all this text you are quoting the citation of that particular reference. This is how it can be quoted. It can be quoted by mentioning the name of the author and year. That is the one way. I'll show you later on. And the another way is you can put the number of that particular reference. Yes, this is how the references are cited. Then another thing you need to I must tell you that in your writing work, there are certain scientific words that you need to use repeatedly, but these words are too long to write. So repetition of these words in your writing work, it will increase the bulkiness in, because you are repeating that word several times in full form. So it will increase the unnecessary length of words, unnecessary count of the words. So concise means what? In limited words you need to explain. So therefore, if you have certain complex words which are too long, which needs to be described frequently, you can create their short forms, like we have learned in case of abbreviation. So here, thermoplastic polyurethane, this author want to use this thermoplastic polyurethane several times in its project report. Then what he has done, that he has prepared a short form, that is TPU. So wherever this word comes for the first time, now this has appeared for the first time in the text, so there only you have to write the short form. First appearance of the word, you need to write the short form, and then you can reuse this several times, like here, like here, like here, like here. Several times it can be used, so it makes it easy writing. This is also part of scientific writing. like here also. Now this polydopamine, that is abbreviated as PD, then dopamine, it is abbreviated as DA. So on and so forth, you can use short forms of the words. Now you can see this word is there, SEM. Now the long form of this SEM is not described here, but the long form of this TPU, it is written here. So what is the reason? Reason is very simple, that these words are not the standard, may not be the standard words or universal words. These words are universal. SEM, that is scanning electron microscopy, X-ray diffraction, mass spectroscopy. So physics, electronics, biological sciences, chemistry students will understand this. So all these are the basic well-known techniques whose short forms are highly standard. So if these short forms are highly standard, then you need not to write the long form of it. So there can be use of figures in order to explain the background and in order to explain the problem which is under investigation. So here you can see that this is a flow diagram which authors have included with a caption uh, that indicates the work, how exactly that particular work is aimed at. Then after that, yes, one thing let me tell you that at the end of this, you can see at the end of this introduction section, the authors have mentioned about their objectives. You can write your objectives separately, like objective number 1, 2, 3, 4, likewise. It can be also done. Objectives of the project, and then number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. This is after introduction part. Fine. So that is all about the chapter 1. Chapter 2, it is entitled as materials and methods. So in this, you need to describe the different types of materials which have been used, name of the chemicals, plants, animals, microorganisms, equipments, database, software, etc., etc. And then you need to describe the protocols. You need to describe the method of your investigation. So like you do in your regular practical journals, what you write is the methodology or the protocol in the form of flowchart. You can also write this methodology in the form of flowchart, or you can write this methodology in the text format continuously. The details should be sufficient enough so that any reader who is having knowledge in that particular area should be able to repeat that particular experiment. So it should ensure that the work can be repeated according to the details provided. And if you are describing the protocols which has been published previously by other author, then you need to write the reference of that particular paper. You can make use of headings for the sake of understanding, in order to, because here you are not conducting a single experiment, you are conducting multiple experiments. So you can put headings to all these different types of headings, different types of methodologies or protocols. There can be some subheadings also. So you are free to use headings as well as the subheadings. As you can see here, that materials and methods section, this is the title, materials and animals which are used in this study, and there is a description of that. Then this is the another heading, that describes the characterization of TPU NS nanocomposite. So whatever the methodology which is used is described under this title. So this is how you need to repeat this. Now, while writing the name of materials, you need to write the source of that particular material. Now here USA is mentioned, that means this is obtained from the other country. You need to mention the name of the company from which that chemical is procured. So here the name is written Sigma Aldrich from USA. Then this chemical is purchased from Shanghai, Shanghai, China. Likewise, so this is how you need to write the source of that particular material. This is also important part of scientific writing. So as I said, these headings, it can be written in first level. Now these headings are all first level readings. A sub part of that, it is called as second level heading. Sub part of sub part of that, it is called as third level reading. So these types of levels of headings are also possible. Then while writing, now I'm telling you about most important points in scientific writing. So you need to make use of several abbreviations for the units. Now here gram is indicated by small g. So this gram, wherever this gram word comes, you need to symbolize it with small g only. Then you cannot write gm, or you cannot write capital G. So throughout your dissertation report, you need to make use of this symbol to describe gram unit. Here milliliter, you can see how it is written milliliter, small m, capital L. So this can be used throughout you homogeneously throughout your write up. This is very important. Then micrometers, degree Celsius, etc., etc. So symbols of unit are very important, are very important components of the scientific writing part. Generally we make use of international standard unit, that is SI unit. So it can be described by different symbols like microliter. It can be described like micro and small l, micro and capital L, anything will do. Milliliter, small m, small l, small m, capital L. So likewise these abbreviation, we can make use of these symbols in your write up. And then the third chapter will be of results and discussion. Now this will be the core part of your research work. So it is it has to be well prepared in the form of well prepared tables and figures. Figures will indicate the images, photographs, line diagrams, bar diagrams. So these must be the cardinal feature of the results section of core, very important, or it is the heart of your thesis work, because they convey the major observations to the readers who scan a paper. So the quality of your dissertation work, what depth you have carried out that particular investigation, it can be uh, you may get, the reader may get idea in relation to that on the basis of figures, tables and images. The information provided in tables and figures, it should not be repeated in the text. So there should not be repetition. So whatever the things which you have described in text, so the focus attention on the importance of principal findings of the study. So in general, what we can say, what we see is that journal papers will contain between 1 and 7 figures and table. This is about the journal paper. It is not applicable for your project work. Then there will be a discussion section. Now you see the result section, it must have tables, figures, and description of the thing. So you need to write your results in description in text. Then there is a separate section called as discussion section. So what is the discussion? We have already learned. It is a comparison of your findings with others' finding, with quotation of their references, with citation of their references. So if the work is already published and your results are similar to them, you can write that your results are in line with the results published earlier. If your results are different, you can write your results are controversial, your results, you have opposite findings, etc, etc. So whatever the justification that you want to describe, that justification you can give in this discussion section with proper citation of the reports of different researchers. So citation of relevant literature and references is very important. So writing of result and discussion is just again similar to writing result and discussion in a research paper. There can be, you can put the headlines and sub headlines can be used in order to describe your results and discussion. So there is going to be figures, inclusion of figures. You can see here the figure should be labeled properly. Like here you can see small letters have been used, they are arranged in sequence, then they are combined, and they are combined to form a single figure. Now this is a single figure. You can see at the bottom there is a caption. Writing a caption is very important because that caption should give full information and idea about whatever is described in this particular figure. So writing a caption of figure is very important. So as we all know that a picture, a single picture is worth 1000 words. So that shows the importance of figure in your project work. Like you can see, this is again to tell you the scientific writing part. You can see small letters, so they are arranged in sequence. This is the micrograph of a fungus. This is in detail micrograph. This is further in detail, and this is the component of that fungus, and this is the fruit which has been infected. So this picture is a combination of several images, several photographs. So this is very important because this whole figure, it represents that there is a fungus and that causes this disease in pomegranate. So this is how we can combine the figures, which is a part of skill. And followed by that, at bottom you can see that there is a caption which is called as figure caption, which has to be written scientifically, where you can see what is there in A, what is there in B, what is there in C, D, E. So this is how whatever is described in figure must come in figure caption. The resolution of the figure should be good enough so that while printing your project report, it should not lose any kind of resolution. It can be a line figure or graph. Now this is a phylogenetic analysis. You can see what I wanted to tell you, that every figure has a figure number, followed by that there is a figure caption. So the whole information related to this content, it has to be described in figure caption. This is another form of figure bar diagram. You can see the data is arranged day wise. You can see this is x, this is this is x axis and y axis. You can see the two different parameters are plotted on x axis and y axis, and the data can be presented like this. You can make use of statistical approach. You will be learning statistics, small part of statistics. So if you have used some statistical tools in order to analyze your data, so that increases the value of your research. So here a simple post hoc test, Tuckey's post hoc test is used here in order to check whether there is significant difference between the groups. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups, and the difference is calculated on each day. So these are the values. We are not going to the details of that. Here you can see that there is an error bar. You can see that there is an error bar. When you get this error bar, when you repeat your experiment 3 or more than 3 times, so the average value of that you are plotting here, and each time you are not getting the same reading, you are getting different readings which are closer to each other. So the difference between that, it can be represented in the form of experimental error, and that experimental error, it can be plotted here in the form of error bar. Then there can be line figures that is used to describe the continuous data. You can see this is the continuous data in which there is use of uh, there is there are use there is use of line which is flexible line. Okay, all these are the flexible lines. Now you see this is you can see more than two axes, x-axis, then y1 and y2 axis. So there are two axes. So far you might have learned about that there are only two axes, x-axis and the vertical one is y-axis. But here you can see that there are multiple axes and more than one parameters are plotted on the axis. Suppose if you consider this axis, this is y1 axis. Here you can see that there are three parameters: pH, antifungal activity, and inhibition zone diameter. So these three parameters are plotted by using this y1, and one parameter, that is cell density, it is on y2 axis. So this facility is there if you are good in handling Microsoft Excel. You can use this feature: x-axis, x1, y1 and y2. So multiple parameters can be described. So incubation period, this parameter is described versus 1, 2, 3 and 4 parameters. Of course there has to be a caption that should describe all these. So this dark round circle, what is it? It is written here. What is this dark triangle? This dark triangle, what is it? It is written here. What is this diamond shape? Diamond shape is written here. So this is how your figure, it should be a self-explanatory figure. You can see these symbols are written also here, here and here. Also here you can put error bars, because you had taken that reading number of times and you are plotting average of it. So you need to write, or you need to draw experimental error bar or table. It should be written in the standard format. Now something you find at the bottom, which is used to describe the things which are labeled in the table but not easily understandable. So in order to make the reader understand what is given in the table, there can be an explanation given at the bottom. It is called as footnote. Footnotes are written at the bottom of the table. Footnotes should be indicated by superscript, lowercase letters. Now this is a part of scientific writing, or asterisk or symbols. You can see here, this is the footnote. It can be symbolized by like this. So you can put these symbols here, and you, if you want to describe that part, you can describe that at the bottom. It is called as footnote, like this. If you see, if you go through several papers, you will be more acquainted with all these terminologies. So what I want is that before you appear for your final test of this research methodology, you should have gone through several research papers, try to understand, read the research papers. I'm not asking you to read very difficult research papers. You can get very simple research papers. You can contact your guide in the department if at all the guide allotment is done, or you can ask them voluntarily, so that you can download certain papers, read those papers, and you will get idea about all these things. Also, we'll be having a practical session that will throw more light on all these aspects. Then the next part will be of references. These references are called as end references or bibliography, and at the end there will be appendix. Now, citation of references is very important. We already learned what is the meaning of a reference. If you are writing some reports, literature, findings, research, news, photographs, publications of the others in your research work, then you need to cite that reference. So citation, it means quote, to mention, to show, to display. A citation is a way of giving credit to individuals for their creative and intellectual works that you utilize to support your research. It can also be used to locate particular sources and combat plagiarism. Typically, a citation can include the author's name, date, location, or the publishing company, journal title, or document a digital object identifier, as we have already discussed. Yes, of course, the citation is needed because utilization of resources to describe one's research make it mandatory to give credit. So you need to give credit to the invention or discovery to that discoverer or inventor or researcher or the reporter. So it is scientifically ethical, a very important word. How the citations are done? One example we have seen earlier, that the citations can be done in text by putting the number 1, 2, 3, 4, the reference number you can put. Other way of writing that citation is, you can write the name of the author and then ital means co-workers. You can see that there are papers in which there may be one author or two authors. If there are two authors, then you can write name of both the authors, Geeta and Fulekar. If there are more than two authors, then you can use this word which is called as it al means co-workers. So Supreet and co-workers, followed by that the year of the publication. So this is how you can write the in-text references in two styles, either in the form of numerical like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 according to the end references, or you can write in by writing the name of author and year. Yes, this is what I have already explained. Now here the citation is written in the form, in numerical form, that is number 1 reference, number 2 reference, number 3, number 4. All these are the numbers of end references. Yes, these are the end references. So number 1 reference is this, number 2 is this, so on and so forth. End references and list of references. These references, the text references as well as end references, should be written in a particular style. We call it as citation style. I have already discussed regarding this. There are several styles of writing end references and text references. They are APA style, American Psychological Association style, Chicago style, Harvard style, Vancouver style. There may be many more. These are generally used. So this part I have already explained you about the what is APA style. So this is the style of writing the of citing the reference, name of the author, the year of publication, title of the research paper, then the publication volume, page number, and followed by that document object identifier if any. This is the APA style. This is how the APA style is. Now this is end reference and this is text reference. Chicago style is like this, and then Harvard style, Vancouver style. So what I recommend is while writing your references, you should use Vancouver style because you need not to put so many dots and commas here. So this may be a simple one where we need not to make use of several. This Chicago style is also good. There are very few dots and commas. So whatever you like, you need to follow. You need to write them homogeneously. So that is about the end references. That is how you can write the in different styles using different styles, standard styles, which are internationally recognizable. That is a part of scientific writing. It is very important in relation to the scientific writing part. Citation of books, I told you, whatever you cite, whatever you reference, you can write the name of the websites, you can write the name of you can write the resource of a newspaper, magazine, etc, etc. Citation of book chapters. So scientific writing is very important for writing papers, report, dissertation, and thesis. You need to write using very grammatically correct English, concise sentences. You need to avoid the spelling mistakes. You need to make use of scientific language. What is that scientific language? You will get acquainted, as I said, you go through several research papers, you read those research papers, you will get idea what exactly is this scientific language is. You can make use of British. We generally follow British uh, English or American. In order to minimize the error, you can make use of the software which is freely available by on Google. It is called as Grammarly. You can download Grammarly and you can get your text checked through Grammarly. Advanced Grammarly is paid, but preliminary it is free of cost. So names of the genus and species, it should be written in italic. It is particularly important for biology students. Use of abbreviations is very important. Then you need to ask yourself, because you will be preparing this project report in soft copy and that you will be converting it into an hard one. So you need to have computer literacy. Computer literacy means it is not that you need to type the material. You need to know Microsoft Word. You need to know how to prepare the graphs and bar diagrams using Microsoft Excel. Therefore, these things are very important. You need to know Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, because you will be presenting your work finally in front of the panel of examiners. You need to have a little typing skills. You might have acquired a lot of skill while handling your mobile, but it is of no use. Typing skills you need to have while handling your laptop or desktop. Then you need to know what are the different editing tools, editing and printing of documents. So all these shortcut keys. Computer literacy is literally very important, because you will be postgraduate students and all these things are expected from postgraduate students. The things which are expected more are practical skills. You need to have accuracy, you need to perform the experiments with great precision, you need to perform the experiments multiple times, means multiple set of experiments, and there has to be continuous reading of the literature, so that you can get more and more information, you can get more and more ideas about the experimental work of your project work. Data handling and presentation skills are very important. As I told you, use of statistics, it is a very important component. If you add statistics to your for the analysis, then it will increase the value of your thesis. Patience is very important. Creative mind is very important. Designing of strategies and protocols, because your guide has multiple things to do, so hardly he or she may find it difficult to guide you continuously. So you need to design protocols, read the literature on your own, and you can discuss your ideas with your guide. I hope this information will be definitely useful for you to write your final thesis report. Thank you.